back to another WTF Wednesday. On today's episode, we're going to cover some more text and chat, abbreviations, and some definitions of some words. We are going to look into, we're going to cover the latest scam of the week. One that actually is somewhat personal to me. Our first word of the day is fleek. Fleek. That is a word that means that some physical aspect of you is on point, is looking hot. You know, for example, when a woman gets their nails done and they're super awesome, they would say, well, your nails are on fleek. Or if you get your eyebrows done or your hair done, you're on fleek. You're on point. Word number 2 for today is dank. Dank actually started with sort of the potheads referring to sticky, hairy, and stinky weed as being dank. Typically that means it was above average, if not outstanding. And that has now carried over into meaning anything that is above average or outstanding. It's dank. Netflix and chill. If your daughter says to you, I'm going to go over to my boyfriend's house and watch Netflix and chill, you may want to lock her in her room. That is a euphemism for having sex. Everybody's favorite word, bae. B-A-E, bae. There's several definitions for bae, some of which I like and some of which I think are a little ridiculous. Initially it was sort of a ghetto term for people who didn't want to finish off the whole word babe, referring to sweetie or whatever. And there's also other definitions that say that it's actually an acronym, B-A-E, for before anyone else. Again, indicating that you take precedence over everybody else in their lives. I like the one, though, biggest asshole ever. Don't use this phrase. Basic. Basic is a word to describe any person, place, or activity displaying extremely unsophisticated behavior. Also indicates a person with transparent motives or something that is uninteresting, vapid, boring, and uncool. Used in a sentence, he's probably the dumbest person on earth, too basic to even carry on a conversation. Baby goggles. That's a phenomenon where adoring parents believe their ugly baby is the most beautiful infant in the world. Beardo. That's a weirdo with a beard. Blue tool. This is a particular pet peeve of mine. It indicates a person who wears their Bluetooth device everywhere. Inappropriate. In movie theaters, in restaurants, wherever, in order to seem trendy and important. You're not. I found this one to be very funny. Bellagio. Bellagio. This phenomenon is when an individual in a group vomits, setting off a chain of reaction of vomiting that simulates the water fountain spectacle in front of the Bellagio in Las Vegas. Alright, that's it for my words of the evening. I hope you enjoyed those. The next thing we're going to work on is busting a myth. A lot of the myths I am going to be referring to are dealing with Facebook myths that people share a lot. It's a pet peeve of mine as well. People don't do any research. They share anything that offends or outrages them. This one is one that's going around where a person is posting a picture of all of the SEALs of the military, stating that Facebook has instituted a ban of any images of the military. According to the documentation I read, this by Facebook user Harry Brogan, who posted this image to his timeline. It was then shared repeatedly, 250,000 times, taken as fact by every one of those people who were outraged by this particular statement. Of course, we have to also acknowledge that every service branch, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, has a Facebook presence, and it doesn't appear that Facebook has a problem with any of them. This rumor resembled one in mid-2015 that was claiming that Facebook was shutting down any pages that displayed the Marine Corps emblem. In their documentation, Snopes noted that they contacted Facebook specifically to ask them about this, and a representative of the company informed them that indeed the military SEAL emblem images do not violate Facebook's community standards, and therefore there would be no reason for any of the pages or images to be removed from the platform. So there you go. It's been debunked. Alright, and finally for tonight's video, we're going to talk about the scam of the week. As I mentioned in my introduction, this one actually has some personal impact on me. My mother texted me yesterday and was telling me about this, and I had to do some investigation on it. But basically, for starters, just so I can put this in context, I'm a junior, so my father has my same name. She received a phone call yesterday, and the caller ID had Richard Brooks as the ID, and she assumed it was me, and so picked up. And it turned out to be a scammer trying to get her to change her credit cards. Of course, she did the appropriate thing and hung up the phone and didn't give them any information, but when she went back and looked at her caller ID, she found that the company was, I call this loosely a company, these scammers were actually spoofing her own phone number and my father's name as the caller ID in order to get around any kind of blocking she may have had going on. So what these guys are doing is they're illegally spoofing your name and phone number in the caller ID to get you to answer the phone. And once they get you on the phone, of course, do whatever nefarious things they want to do. Now, some important things to note: if you ever do get on the phone with any of these people, don't push any buttons, don't do anything that they may be able to take as a positive response to what you were requesting, because then you could end up in a situation where they do something like slamming, which is automatically now charging your phone bill for something, you know, and it may be something small that you don't notice, but if they do it a million times, they're going to make a lot of money from it. So you got to, just hang up the phone, don't talk, don't say anything, don't push any buttons, hang up the phone. Well, all right, that's it for my WTF Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed the information. Look forward to seeing you guys Friday, and I've got some interesting things to cover on that day. So we'll see you then. And if again you want to get notified that I'm sending out new videos, just subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you again. Good night.